One for two. One for two. Oh,
If I'm
it,
the room.
is there any introduction we should give, or that y'all usually give, or do we just go ahead? Okay.
So we can skip this. Huh? We can skip this.
Oh, skip it.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, that look like you.
Should look like me.
I mean, I can talk about the God mission trip real quick. Go ahead. So we have a mission trip coming
Oh,
up.
they gonna go.
You
To
said what?
They gonna
Ghana.
go.
So
Oh,
tomorrow's the deadline, y'all. Yeah, tomorrow's the first, right? Yeah, tomorrow's the deadline, so you still have some time to apply. If this is what the Lord is, pulling this in your heart,
that's crazy. I'm
and
going to
you
Ghana
really
too.
want to do it, but you're scared for finances, don't be worried because Impact will help you, come up with those funds. So there is still time to sign up. Still time. So if you are thinking about it, just either call me or Evie or anybody from the community side and we can talk to you about it. So yeah. And then we have our next study table. It's every other Wednesday, so we have a study table coming up next Wednesday at the library. So yeah. And we can stop there. So we can get started now.
Alright, and so without further ado, I want to introduce our two speakers. One of them is an Impact alum, Earl Herbert, and he also brought with him a very special guest, Tirus Duncan. Tirus, I heard a lot of things about you, so
I hope they was good.
I really am excited to hear you speak. And so without further ado, let's clap.
Clap. I like that. Great. Okay, I guess let's just do a vibe check real quick. How everybody feeling? You said all right?
You remember the conversation we had in the car?
Yeah.
You think they telling the truth?
Nah, I don't think they telling the truth. On a scale of 1 to 10, how y'all doing? 6, 7, 5.
Dang, I heard 6, 7, 5. Can I have a couple reasons why? You said 5. I want to hear your reason why.
I mean, I already I kind of give them the long rundown, but I just have a lot of work to do, so busy, and I can't sleep, so that's just making me very, very sad.
Understood. Anybody else want to share? No.
I'm just tired. I'm on my third paper this week.
So your third paper this week?
I have 2 psych classes
Uh-huh.
in English,
What's your major?
psychology, and then I have a minor in public health.
Have fun writing. So you be doing that a lot.
Wow. Well, I mean, honestly, we just kind of figured that a lot of y'all would have a lot on y'all plates, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not sure how things typically go when it is speakers, but we just wanted something more conversational, you know what I'm saying? So that you guys can feel engaged and also feel some type of sense of empowerment too. We want to have a conversation on calling, you know what I mean? Just calling. What does it mean to be called? Who calls us? And why? So we wanted to look at 3 people in the Bible to kind of tailor our discussion to. So we're going to ask questions throughout and just see how the conversation kind of flows from there too. Does that sound good? Does that sound good? So yeah, that's what I like. You feel me? So who familiar with Jonah? Who can tell me the story of Jonah real quick? I guess I'll call on Caleb. Mm-hmm. You didn't want to preach to the people in Nineveh? Okay, that's cool. No, that sounds solid. Anybody else familiar with the story of Jonah can break it down? Victoria look like he going crazy.
I guess he kind of summed it up. Basically, he got swallowed up by the whale for 3 days and 3 nights. He tested his faith, and when he got out, he was ready to accept that she will preach. He did.
Mm-hmm.
Basically.
Uh-huh. I feel you. I like how you said 3 days and 3 nights too. That's interesting. What do you think about Jonah's calling? Like, what do you relate to in that story? Oh no, not necessarily you, but just broadly.
He said he didn't follow God's direction first because he just didn't want to. I do that sometimes, so like, I can understand. That makes sense.
Well, that's definitely a good point because I think that there are a lot of times when we feel, or let me ask the question, have any of you guys ever felt like you were called to do something that you knew was like very clear that this is exactly what God wanted you to do, but you kind of second guessed, like, why do you want me to do this? Especially like a little bit more of a backstory on the story of Jonah. God told him to go speak to the people of Nineveh, but technically in modern terms, Nineveh was like Jonah's ops. He's like, I'm not trying to go talk to them. These evil people that you already told me was not good, and now you want me to go tell them that they have a chance to be saved. Now, how many of y'all would want to actually go speak to your quote-unquote enemy because someone told you that you should go tell them that they have a chance to be saved? I don't know about y'all, but me, I'm like, you better go choose somebody else. I'm not about to go talk to these people over something that, and it was from God too. He's like, the people of Nineveh are not good people. But then he switched. He's like, actually, go talk to them. Go tell them that they have a chance to be saved. So Jonah's like, I'm not doing that. Matter of fact, I'm going to try to go as far away as possible from whatever it is that you just called me to do because I don't want to do it. And I don't know about y'all. I feel that a lot of times. I'm like, I know that God has called me to do something, but I'm like, nope, not doing it just because I don't want to. So in Jonah's case, he tried to run away as far as he could. He hopped on the boat with some people who's going in a completely different direction. But what that did was cause storm to that boat, to the ship that he was on. And like he said, he got swallowed by the whale, but that was because of the storm that was caused on the boat as he tried to run away from the purpose. So to that point, it's like, one, if we know the calling of God, first and foremost, we should try to follow it, because if we don't, that could cause a storm, not only for ourselves, but everybody else that is surrounding us. So like, it's understanding the importance that every decision that we make indirectly or directly affects everybody else around us, especially if it's from God. So with him being on the boat, he was asleep, right? And there was a storm going on, and he went up, and the people on the boat, they couldn't figure out what the storm was from. They was praying to their gods and all this. He's like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know why this storm is happening, but Jonah knew. So he went up there. He's like, well, I know exactly why this is happening. It's because of me. Y'all should just throw me overboard. The people on the boat, they's like, why would we just throw you overboard because of this storm that's happening? Now, if you are aware of your calling and other people are not aware of your calling, and stuff starts happening to not only you, but the people around you, and you know, when do you start feeling some type of way? Because it's not only affecting yourself, but it's affecting everybody else around you too. So it's like, then it's like, I'm going to submit to the calling. And even then, he didn't want to submit to the calling. He wanted them to kill him. So I'm not doing this. Still, I'm not going to Nineveh. Y'all might as well throw me overboard, let me die. But how many of you guys know that when God has a plan for you, that plan is going to see it through, regardless if you want to do it or not? So it's like, he said, throw me overboard, let me die. And they was, first they was like, I'm not doing that. They did it anyways, and that stopped the storm for them. But for Jonah, it put him in the belly of the whale. And I always have a thought of what it's like to actually be in the belly of a whale from avoiding the call that God has called us to. Have you guys ever felt like essentially you're in the belly of a whale? Not literally, but in a low place, in a place of darkness where there is no light. in a place where you can't really see anything but darkness. And to this point about the 3 days, we'll talk about that later with Paul and with Jesus. But speaking of Jonah now, it's like he was in the belly of the whale for 3 days, right? He couldn't see nothing. I'm sure he had no time but to think. And it couldn't have been a lot of good thoughts because he's like, man, I was supposed to be dead. And even before then, he prayed to God to die because he didn't want to go and do the calling that was meant for him. But like I said before, when God has a plan or a calling that is in alignment to what he wants, and he chooses you to be the vessel or the instrument for whatever it is that he wants to come to life, he's going to make it happen. And if Jonah would have just submitted to the calling at first, he would have avoided the feeling of being in the belly of the whale. And in a real life sense, like the belly of the whale could feel kind of like what depression is. It's like a dark, dark place to where you're still moving, you're still on the move, but you're not feeling as if things are actually happening. And I love the idea of the belly of the whale because it was in the water, right? It was still moving towards the destination that God had called him towards. But he didn't feel as if he was moving. And when we get in these moods, these low moods, to where it feels like it's darkness all around us, I think it's important for us to remember that although we may be in these dark, dark moments, it doesn't mean that we're not moving towards where God is calling us towards. So it's like, how do we avoid getting in that dark place, or essentially the belly of the whale? We listen to God in the first place and accept the calling that he's called upon us, regardless if we want to do it or not.
Anybody been in those dark places before?
I know I have. Even currently.
I saw you nod. Can you share for us?
So the confidence of, like, I know this is what you said, but I don't feel like I'm the person for it. You know, there's someone else in the Bible who had that same thought. Moses, when God first called him, he's like, you sure me? I can't speak. And you want me to talk, you want me to lead your people, but I'm not the one who's able to speak. Why'd you call my brother? But like I said, again, God's like, if I choose you, I choose you, period. And sometimes that's a hard thing to accept. Moses begged and pleaded with God. He's like, anybody but me, you can choose to get this calling across. But once he accepted the confidence, things were able to move. And once we accept the confidence for the things that we know that we are called to do, things start to move. But we must accept, and we must do it with confidence. Because he could have, of course, God could have chose Aaron. It's like, oh, your brother's better speaking than you. But I think God sees certain things in us that we may not see in ourselves, and it makes sense because he's the creator. So it's like, if there's something that he has said that we should be doing, why not trust the creator of us that we are able to do it? And it's an honor that comes with that too. Because I'm sure even through it, Moses led his people to the promised land, right? Although his lack of confidence in the first place, and his lack of belief in himself. It's like he believed in God more than he believed in himself. And farther along in the Bible said, if you believe in me, believe also yourself. So it's like we must learn to even have the power or the belief in ourselves. Because without the power and the belief in ourselves, is that really truly trusting and believing in God? If that makes sense. It's like, I trust you, but I don't trust me. That's like a slap in God's face. With him being the creator and him being the one in control, it's like, I don't really trust you because I don't trust me. It's like, if we have full confidence in God, why not have full confidence in ourselves? Especially if we are in line with what it is that we think that he wants us to do. Anybody else ever felt like they were in the belly of a whale? And it doesn't have to be from running from the calling of God, but just life itself. Rome, you ever felt like that?
Or have you felt like you're moving, but you're still in a dark spot? You know what I'm saying? It's like, it still feels like, so I know Sister had mentioned earlier, you're doing a lot, but it's hard to get rest, right? Have you ever been in that type of spot or predicament? Oh, you got some? And can you say your name, please? You said Donna. Okay, nice to meet you.
That's actually cool that you just said that because I was reading Hebrews 4 yesterday. And it talks about how, like, if you don't submit to the Holy Spirit, you'll never actually feel rest. So I realized that a lot of times when I felt really down, it was because I wasn't being submissive to God. And it's like, you can't have obedience without submission. Because, like, submission is, like, the foundation of obedience. So I realized that because I was living in anxiety, that was going against what God has for us. And He says that do not be anxious about anything, but pray about it. So it's like, if you don't submit, you're not going to walk in line with what God wants for you. So you would actually be in that unrest. So until you actually submit yourself and be obedient to God, then you feel it. So I would say that was what helped me.
Hmm.
Why do you think it's so hard for most to submit?
Because you think our ways are right, but Proverbs talks about, like, if you think your ways are right, you're actually cool. So it's like, you can't be a fool, but be a believer. And, like, that's why God is like, you can't be in between. You either choose me or you choose everything else. So I would say that's crazy.
That's a good read.
But then also, no, that's a great point too, right? If if you're experiencing anxiety, it may be something that you're not listening to God on. But have you ever been in a spot where you're experiencing anxiety, but you feel like this is what you're supposed to do? I mean, it gotta be used. I just look at people when I talk. You feel me? So it's open ended. It's open ended. You ain't never been like, dang, I feel like I'm doing the right things, but stuff is still going sideways. Yeah, you can follow up.
When your intentions may be right, but your intention isn't. So
You say your attention?
are right, but your intention isn't. It's like
Okay.
not on God. So because it's not on God, you would feel, like I said, like that unrest because it's like you're trying to do this thing, but God has something different for you, and His own will goes over everything else. So it's like that's why I think everything comes back to submission, and for just people who suffer anxiety, because it's a real thing. But
Mm-hmm.
the Bible says, like, do not be anxious. And then Matthew 13 talks about how, like, the word of God is a seed that falls on the thorns, and that is, like, the anxiety of life. So if you're so anxious and not listening to God, then the word of God is not going to come into your heart, and you're going to listen to it. You're going to listen to everything. So, yeah.
Hmm. No, that's real. That can happen. Was there a time recently too where you just felt things out and you were about to do something? You nodding your head, I'm gonna call on you. What was that? What is that experience?
An example of what you just said of like knowing it's something you should do, but you're anxious. So I'm in this. When I was back at home before college, I was in this group called Girl Talk. It's like a youth group for girls where we learn about ourselves, God, our bodies, and all this. But I was like the senior. I was 17, so I was like one of the oldest. I think it's from like 12 to 18. But I had been in the program for like years, so then I was given the opportunity to start teaching the classes. But I was like self-doubting a lot, and I was so anxious because I felt like I wasn't ready. I felt like I wasn't capable enough to do it. But I know like it's what I needed to do. But I was just super anxious about it. So I would use that example for that.
Hey, can anybody relate to that? What she just said? And can you remind me your name? I don't think I caught you. Sanaya. Thanks for sharing, Sanaya. You feel me? Don't we all find ourselves in it? Yeah, go crazy, Ebony.
I don't think there's nothing wrong with feeling human emotions, like being anxious, being fearful, being scared, happiness, sadness, joy. I think when you look at the Bible, all the people that God used experienced that. I feel like where the problem lies is when you take those emotions more on you believe in God. And so when Moses came up to God, he was like, but God, no, like, this, I'm not who you want, like, I have a speech impediment, all these things. And God says, but you don't realize who I am. And so when you put your fear or your insecurity over God, I feel like that is when it becomes a problem. And so it's not, we are human, right? So when Jesus was on this earth, he was human. So
Yeah.
he knows what it's like to be anxious. He knows what it's like to feel sad. He knows what it's like to feel angry. But what he did is he always took his problems to the foot of the Father. And that is what we don't do. And out of your anxiety, if you're overeating, out of your anxiety, if you're looking for validation, that's where it's wrong. And so I just want to make sure that there's a distinguishment between those two.
Nah, she mentioned a lot of things. She said overeating, validation. What are some other like behaviors or activities you guys might do when you feel anxious? Overthinking. Anybody got?
Might step away, or go the other way.
You said step away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not follow through with the plan.
Not follow through with the plan. Okay. So probably similar to Jonah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just you step away, and then that storm kind of starts affecting people around you if you're not stepping in what you're supposed to do. Any other things that you? I know for me, I be doing like, you ever like binge a show? You look up, you like, oh shoot, a couple hours passed, I'm supposed to be doing something. Or you just scrolling on your phone, on social media. I'm the only one to do that? Okay, y'all look at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, dang, man, y'all so saved up in here. Nah, yeah, I mean, I go through social media, which there's a balance, right? Like kind of how Ebony's talking about of believing in God and taking it to God, but then also healthy, like coping skills. But yeah, any other activities that you might do with your anxiety? Can you say your name too, sis? Said Tunny? Tenny. Okay, I like that name.
So I personally, I struggle with overthinking.
Overthinking? Okay, so Ebony.
Like something, it just grows on you after like a while. Like it's something that builds over time. And I had to like teach myself or like explain to myself that if with God you shouldn't have to think about anything. And then the Bible does say like do not be anxious about anything and like leave everything to God. And I think the more I resonated on that verse and like I deeped it and I was like explaining it to myself, I realized that things are not that serious. And then I always like try to explain to myself. The Bible also says like don't worry about tomorrow because tomorrow will figure out itself and worry about the things of today. And I think the moment I took that and I wasn't really stressed about what's gonna happen, because most of the time I'm really worried about like 10 years from now. Like things are like not even in my hands yet. And then
Dang, you worried about 10 years from now? You good. I'm like 10 minutes from now, where am I gonna be at?
yeah, I had to like explain to myself like these things are, like I need to worry about today.
Yeah.
Worry about what I'm gonna do right now and things like that, and let the future deal with itself and let God deal with it. And so I feel like a lot of people deal with overthinking. People we've normalized it. We've normalized it like, oh, you're just overthinking. But I feel like it's the devil trying to put opinions that are not God in your mind. Because then you're gonna go from why is it yellow to why is yellow orange, and then you're just gonna keep going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And yeah, I just think it's the devil's way of manipulating your mind to not be of God. I a personal opinion.
I want to follow up on that thought. How has overthinking been normalized?
Because like it's like everybody's just like, oh, I was just like, you can ask anybody now. There's something going on in your head, like you're constantly thinking about something, right? But it's like overthinking is like you're not thinking something too much. You know what I mean? I feel like everybody's constantly thinking about something every single time. If I ask somebody what's on your mind now, there's gonna be something that you're thinking about. And so it's like it just depends on like how we look at it. I think it's been normalized because everybody goes, oh, I like to overthink. Oh, I like to overthink. But it's like that's not okay.
Yeah.
'Cause
No.
I thought it was normal.
You say you thought it was normal.
I thought it was normal.
I mean, anybody relate to that? Is that pretty normal? What are y'all thinking about right now? Don't lie. Don't act like y'all thinking about what we talking about. I know y'all thinking about something else.
I heard somebody say the other day, like, you are your worst critic. So
Uh-huh.
it's just like when you're in your head and you're thinking so many things, like negative things that you think people are thinking is not true. And that kind of stuck out to me because I'm always like in my head, like, they probably noticed this or they probably noticed that there's a stain on my shirt or something, like little things, but they don't even think that, you know. So it's just like in my head, like that overthinking. It really does get to me, but that kind of stuff is like you always just think like what you think is like you know, like how you appear or whatever, or like the smallest things, people really aren't even looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, to that point, I always like to say that, I mean, I have a brand called Everybody Somebody where it's literally talking about the value
Shout
of
out to the
people.
book.
But
Get a
you
hoodie.
are, stop it. But upon that thought, it's like you are not that important. And that's not to say that you're not important at all, but you're not that important to where every move that you're making, somebody's looking to you and like, I wonder why they walk like that. Or, I wonder why they talk like that. Why they have that on. And I think that we'll start to tell ourselves these things. Like that this person is looking at me like this. Or they looking at the way that I say this certain thing. No, they are not. They probably couldn't care less. Because people have enough problems to deal with on their own. I think we got to accept that. It's like, yeah, we got problems, but so does he, him, her. Like, we all have problems. And I think what we must learn to do, especially when it comes to the thought of overthinking, it's like we must learn how to prioritize our thoughts. It's like, what is most important? What is a thought that I could actually do something about versus what am I truly just overthinking? Like, what can I really not control? And one of the fundamentals I try to build every decision I make is like, control what you can, let God handle the rest. And that's what, again, to your point about submission, that's what submitting is. It's like, what is in my control that I can control and what is out of my hands? Which essentially, that's why we need God. It's like, who is God? It's just a question that a lot of people have. It's like a being that's higher than self. And the Bible said to take your burdens to the Lord and leave them there. It's like, what does that mean? Acknowledge what it is that you can control, accept the things that you can't, and leave them up to God. It's like, I don't know what to do about this. That's fine. Don't try to do something about it then. Leave it to God. God, this is in your hands now. I'm taking my hands off of it, and I'm going to put my hands on something else that I know that I can control. But even that gets hard sometimes. So it's like I can control this, and this. But that's why I said it's important to prioritize what it is that is important to you. So it's like figure out, one, where it is that you're going, and be honest with yourself on how is this thought helping you. It's like, is it getting you closer to where it is that you want to go, or where it is that you know that God has you going? Are you running away and hopping on a ship that's taking you away farther to where you are called to get to? And if you're hopping on that ship, probably sit with yourself and ask yourself, like, why? Because his pride got in the way, and that's what got him in the belly of the whale. It's like, I'm not talking to the people. And the Bible said pride comes before the fall. It's like, who are we to tell God no to what he wants us to do? It's like we want to save ourselves from the afflictions, probably should submit. Although that is hard. But just because something is hard doesn't mean that it isn't necessary. Because you have to do it eventually anyways. Does anyone else have a issue with submitting to something that they may not understand but they know is necessary? I know a lot of y'all probably got homework, stuff that y'all know that y'all don't need to, or that y'all know y'all need to do, but y'all be like, I don't want to do it. Any of y'all feel like that ever? These people don't feel nothing, do they?
But, yeah, give it time.
Mainly comes from not knowing like what it is that I'm supposed to like submit to, like not knowing like what God wants of me, like just not knowing.
That's a great, actually, set. And can you say your name, sis? Mariah? Okay, got you. That's actually a great segue into our next figure. So let's put a pin in that so they can actually go to our next figure in the Bible. His name is... Oh, no, we don't need a slide. My bad. Yeah, I didn't communicate that clearly. His name is Paul. Anybody familiar with the story of Paul? Can somebody break down real quick what was his conversion story? Anybody got that? My man. Can you say your name? Caleb. Oh, we got two Calebs in here.
No, his name is Kelly.
Kelly. Oh, forget I said that. My bad, Kelly. Caleb. Took that L. All right.
Basically, like Paul was, his name was Saul originally, and like he was persecuting Christians, thinking like he was doing the right thing, and then he was on the road to somewhere. I forgot where he was going.
Damascus.
Damascus, yeah. Thanks. And God blinded him, and he asked him, "Why are you persecuting me?" And he was like, "Oh, I didn't." Actually, I don't want to get the story wrong, so I'm just saying like that happened, and then it changed him because I don't know what happened in between like his revelation of God and like his conversion, but like that's kind of what changed him, and he started to preach the word of God. Basically.
I mean, especially I think that would change anybody on the road to do what you think you're supposed to be doing, and then God stop you.
Yeah.
That's gonna change me. I'm about to go do something that I know that, or I think that I'm supposed to be doing that I know I'm not supposed to be doing, and God stop me and say, "Hey, what you doing? Why are you persecuting me? Whatever you say, God, I'm here." Whatever
And
you
then you
want.
start feeling like you don't know what you're doing then, right? You probably having a crisis of identity. If he's doing something that he thought he's supposed to do, and now he's in a spot similar to Mariah where he don't know what he's supposed to do. That time in between was like kind of how he's getting at. Can anybody fill in the gap of what happened to Paul in between that time? He was
Yep.
blind.
No, yeah, he was blinded. Huh?
Wait, what happened, Rita? Oh, he crawled his way to the city? Dang.
God did. He's
No, that's yes, it's a gap. Yeah, y'all got it's in Acts. Can anybody pull up the scripture for us? It's in Acts, I believe
4:8.
4 or yeah.
It's an Acts for sure. No, that.
Yeah, I know everybody got the smartphones. This why we didn't leave slides up, because we kind of wanted y'all to be we want y'all to really, this is why I wanted more of a conversation, because a lot of us, we have some of these answers within. We just got to start looking. We have the tools to look up the answers too, right? So I want y'all to really investigate and search out the truth for yourselves as well, not just listen to us, because we, you know what I'm saying? You got it? Or is
Where he's
is it Acts 4, or you was just looking it up?
no, where he stopped him. He stopped in Acts 22:7 is where he
Oh,
first
it's
stopped him.
22. Okay.
Yeah. But if you want to start, you could read.
Is that Acts 22?
Mm-hmm. You start at 22:6.
It's not showing up. Good things take time.
You said 22, right?
Mm-hmm.
Should be 22.
What verse? Or is it
You start at 22:6.
verse 22 or chapter?
Chapter 22.
Read the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go crazy.
Brothers and fathers, hear the defense that I now make before you. And I don't think this.
Nah, that's fine.
Isn't too. Or you go to 9.
It starts in verse 6.
Alright. As I was on my way and I drew near Damascus, about noon, a great light from heaven suddenly shone around me. And I fell to the ground and heard a voice saying, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? And I answered, Who are you, Lord? And he said to me, I am Jesus of Nazareth, whom you are persecuting. Now those who were with me saw the light, but did not understand the voice, the one who was speaking to me. And I said, What shall I do, Lord? And the Lord said to me, Rise and go into Damascus, and there you will be told all that is appointed for you to do. And since I could not see because of the brightness of the light, I was led by the hand of those who were with me and came into Damascus.
You can keep going. You can keep going, son.
And one, Ananias, a devout man according to the law, standing by me and said, Brother Saul, receive your sight. And at that very hour I received my sight and saw him. And I said, the God of our fathers appointed, and he said, my bad. The God of our fathers appointed you to know his will, to see the righteous one, and to hear the voice of his mouth. For you will be a witness for him to everyone of what you have seen and heard. And now, why do you wait? Rise and be baptized and wash away your sins, calling on his name. When I returned to Jerusalem, and was praying in the temple, I fell into a trance, my bad, and saw him saying, make haste and get out of Jerusalem quickly, because they will not accept your testimony about me. And I said, Lord, they themselves know that I am. And I said, Lord, they themselves know that in one synagogue after another I am imprisoned and beat those who believe in you. And when the blood of Stephen, your witness, was being shed, I myself was standing by, approving and watching over the garments of those who killed him. And he said to me, go, for I will send you far away to the Gentiles.
That should be good. That should be good. Okay. Nah, you did good,
Good
man.
job.
Hey, give
Thank you,
Caleb a hand, man. You're not struggling. You preaching the word of God to us, man. Appreciate you. You feel me? So that's context for Paul. Then he had a similar experience, right? Where he's in darkness. He was blinded. Who been in a spot of blindness before, where you just feel like you don't know where you're going, what you're doing? You feel like that right now. Wow.
I saw a lot of heads nod. Raise your hand if you feel like that right now.
Who would like to elaborate on that? I know, sister, you haven't gotten a chance to speak yet. What's your name?
Taylor.
Taylor. Okay, Taylor. What has that period of blindness been like for you?
Well, I'm from Texas.
Oh, Texas. Okay,
You're a long way from home.
you're long, far from home.
Very, very far. And a lot of the people that are like close to me, like are very far from me. Even like my boyfriend is far, my family is far, and I just feel like I'm like kind of stuck in this like college season, and I'm just like, what's going on? Kind of thing.
Yeah, that's an understandable thought.
It's really hard.
It
too.
is. And I think that one thing that blindness does is cause you to spend time with yourself or to go within, which is the point that we want to make right here. It's like, one, if you do feel like you're in a season or a space to where you don't essentially know yourself or know what it is that you have to offer, the important thing to do is go within. Because who else knows you better than you? You know what I mean? It's like, who else has a better opportunity to figure out what it is that you are doing than you? And I think that a lot of times we look for ourselves outside of ourselves, and then why we can't find ourselves. It's like because we haven't looked within. And if we want to start finding ourselves, maybe we should start by looking within. And a quote I often say is, if you look into the mirror and see a stranger, maybe you should go on a date. It's like, what is a date? You go on a date to try to understand and to learn somebody. It's like, what do you have to offer me? And what do I have to offer you? But a lot of us don't spend that time with ourselves to ask that question, like, what do I have to offer myself? And what can I offer everybody else around me? And I think that we should start by spending that time with ourselves, going within, saying, what is it that I truly have to offer the people around me? What is it that I truly have to offer myself? Because, of course, we all have the question, what am I doing here? Like, where am I going? What do I even benefit from? I know you guys are in college, so what do I even benefit from waking up and going to these classes every day that I may not want to go to, that have nothing to do with what I'm interested in? Yeah, I'm going to get up and go anyways. So why even continue to do that? And I think it's better to do that, to have that realization now with self, like really to be honest, like, is this something that I truly want? It's better to do that now than to wake up 30 years from now and still be lost and trying to figure out what it is that you're doing. And it's a scary place to go, right? Into the darkness of essentially your insides. And a lot of times we bury stuff there. So it's like dealing with the things that we have tried to hide from not only everybody else, but from ourselves also.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times it takes a lot to even go into that place, but it's necessary, especially if you want to be of value and be of high value at that. Because all of us are of a value already. Like, that's the idea behind my brand. Like, everybody, somebody is a brand where we spread awareness that no matter what you do or who you are, your life has value. But you get to decide the value that you offer. And the best way to figure that out is to spend some time with yourself. Like, what is it do I have to offer? And also on top of that, it's like spend time with God. Because when God first stopped Saul on his way to persecute him, you definitely have to spend some time in his head and to listen to the voice of God. And as he was on his journey, I think it was in Acts 9, the other way it was breaking down his journey on the road to Damascus to meet Ananias. The only reason he knew to go to Ananias is because God told him in a vision, like, go to Ananias and he'll have the answers for you. But that took him spending some time within himself and also spending some time with God. So it's like, how do we figure out where we're going? One, acknowledge that we're lost and we need to go somewhere. Two, spend that time with God, really get keen to the ear, or turn your ear to the tune of God's voice, or look for the direction, because he will give you direction if you do truly look for it, and if you learn how to submit to the acceptance that you don't know everything, and you don't totally know where you're going. So once you do that, and then have the action behind it too, because he still had to walk, although he was blind. You're going to move regardless, which back to the point of Jonah. The strange thing is both of them were blind for 3 days. Jonah in the belly of the whale for 3 days. Paul without food or drink and literally blinded for 3 days. So I don't know about that 3 days, because the next person, Jesus, was also essentially blind but dead for 3 days.
Mm-hmm. Well, we gonna get to that too. We gonna get to that. We gonna hit the clincher real quick. How many of you spend time with yourself? Like you said, have you ever taken yourself on a date and really asked yourself? Oh, he raised your hand. I'm gonna let you go crazy because I know Edgy talked a couple times. What?
I mean, I would really just like go for a walk.
Go for a walk. That's a great option.
Just go for a walk.
You found that to be beneficial? How?
It's really calming, especially when I'm like really like thinking about the things that God wants me to do, the things that I want to do, and separating the two, and thinking about all the things that are like, trying to stop me from doing what God wants to do. So really thinking about all those things really like it really keeps me focused.
What are some of the conversations that you have with yourself while you're on a walk or something?
So sometimes it'll be like, let's say I have like a presentation or something. Then we'll try to come in and say, you're not smart enough to do this presentation. You're not bold enough to get in front of people and all that stuff. And I'm just remembering what God says about me, and things that I've done like in the past with God's help, and like the triumphs I've had with God. And so those are the kind of things.
That's fire. Anybody else want to share the type of conversations they have with themselves?
Sometimes I like journaling.
Oh, journaling is very good. Yeah.
Some people love it. I hate it. I can't do it.
I can't. I tried it.
Like I sit
Oh,
down,
y'all trip.
I'll sit in front of a piece of paper and I'll be like,
You know what changed the game for me though? That y'all could probably try. Have you ever tried doing voice memos on your phone?
So
Dang! I don't know what to say then. That's tough. That's a tough predicament.
what do you journal? No.
Sometimes I just talk about like random topics, and I'll just like write how I'm feeling, or there'll be like prayers to God. And after a while, like if I have any comes around, I look back at them and be like, damn, I think I'm going on way. I have done the video thing before, like actually like on the video.
Oh, you did a video?
Yes, so
Oh, you
sometimes
bold.
I
I just do voice memos.
Crying.
Oh, you be crying. That's
That
good.
takes some strength.
No, that's good. So you look back at them too, and you like, do you like instantly remember like, oh, this is where I was at in those times, or you be like, what are you crying about? You
Yeah,
feel me?
like, what are you talking about? Yeah, that too.
That's deep.
No, it
I want
is.
to try
'Cause
that.
I mean, I have.
Look at, what's he doing?
Oh, man.
You feel me?
Journaling, I guess it is powerful. I've sat down and written down my thoughts sometimes. I won't say it necessarily helps, but it is a good thing to look back on. One, to either be like, man, I can't believe I'm still feeling like this. Because
That's
sometimes
deep.
those days where we feel like, I don't know how I'm even continuing. But to look back on those days where we do feel like that and be like, wow, I still feel like this now, but I made it through that day.
Yeah.
And I like to use that as a reminder. It's like every day that I thought was the lowest day possible, I've already made it past. So that means the next day that I feel is the lowest day, I'm probably going to make it past that day too.
Yeah.
And it's like to root ourselves within hope. The older I get, the more I realize that hope is literally everything. Because without hope, we would be miserable, literally. Because we don't have, without having something to look forward to, something positive to look forward to, or with even the mindset of things can get better. If you don't think that things can get better, things won't get better. But it starts off like with those conversations that you're having with yourself. It's like, what are the things that we tell ourselves, both positive and negative? I think we need to learn how to take an inventory and tell ourselves the things that we need to hear more, and then try to avoid telling ourselves the things that we know that we don't need to hear. But sometimes, how many of you guys know that that other voice be way louder than the voice that we know that we need to hear? Sometimes I feel like it be screaming at us. Like, oh, you know you're not good enough. You know you can't do this. You know these people don't care about what it is to do. But once you learn that you control that voice and that other voice, I've trained my other voice to be like, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. You can't tell me nothing.
Yeah, I be cussing out my other voice. I can't lie.
I ain't said all that. But I definitely telling that other voice.
That's how I be doing. I know I want Ebony to be fit. You don't want to hear my inner dialogue.
I know. I'm curious to see how your videos look.
Yeah, my videos would get me canceled.
No.
But I think AJ, you had a point earlier, man. I don't know if you still wanted to share it.
Nah, I was just saying, like, I agree with both of them. Like, what I do whenever I want to take myself out, I just want to go out or I go fishing.
Oh, fishing. Okay.
That's very peaceful. But I also do journal a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Like, whenever I look back at what I was like, right, I'm like, dang, what was I doing there? It's like, it helps you see how far God's, like, brought me.
Yeah.
So it's like, very important.
You got something, too?
I do agree with journaling. I journal also, and I think I like to look back because then it just proves that you're living in at least one of your prayers.
Hold on. Say that again.
It's like you're living in like a present of like one of like your prayers, like something you prayed for, you're currently living in.
Wow.
Give you an example. When I needed to get my license, I just couldn't get it right. Like I couldn't, like I just didn't.
Talking about driving?
Yeah.
Okay.
just to drive.
Same.
I just couldn't get it, and I had to take my test 4 times. I'm not dumb, I promise you. I'm not dumb. I just couldn't get it right. And at that point, I was just like, I give up. I'm not doing it anymore. Like maybe I'm passenger princess. I was like,
Wait, you said passenger princess?
that was the whole thought I had in my head. But then I journaled about it and I said, like, God, like, if this is your will, like, I will get this license eventually.
Yeah,
And then now I look back to when I wrote it, and I try to put things to like happen.
that's good.
And I look back and I see like, I'm like, bro, it was never that serious. It's not like I got my license, but it's like I'm living in something I prayed for. And
Yeah.
the moment you start to think about it like that, like you're living in at least one prayer that you prayed for. You become grateful for more things around you
Yeah.
without even thinking about it.
See, how many times do we not even look back and realize, go crazy, go crazy?
No, to go off of that, like, I don't know. But my story is kind of like, I feel like I've just been in college for a very, very long time. I won't say my age, but I've been in college for a minute, and every year I'm just like, well, not every year, but like I wake up and I'm like, damn, I'm here again. Like, I should be like going on, living my life, you know what I mean? Like, because most of the people that came in with, they're already gone, and, you know, they're bigger jobs and stuff like that. And I'm just like, looking back, I'm like, I don't know, I just feel like some days I'm like, there's not that much here for me, you know what I mean? But then like what she just said, like, you are, you're living one of like your peers, like just getting into college was such a hard thing, and just being like a first generation to be in college is like
Come on, get it.
already a hard thing. So
Come on, encourage her.
yeah, like it was very hard to like, I guess not get up every day, but just get very hard to keep going because I'm like, I just have this idea that I should be I should really be just enjoying my life, but just moving on with my life, like the next step, and I'm still here, and it's like I don't know how I get in my head about that, like I should like people will be like, dang, you're still here, and I'm like, I joke about it, but I'm like, I really am still here. So it's one of those things like I just have to keep telling myself like you are really living one of like your prayers, just getting just going to school and really like being in college, because a lot of people don't have that, and like my family don't have that, so it's just like they look up to me, they're like, yeah, it's like my girl's in college, but I just get in my head and I get in my own thoughts, and I don't journal, so I just rant to my friends, so they probably sick of hearing it. So, but yeah.
You should get a journal.
It's not that bad, depending on what you're ranting for. It's a fine line. But you can look at prayer as ranting too. Like ranting to God. Just saying how you feel. That's how I talk to God. My prayers don't ever look like too traditional. Like, I'm going to bow my head and be like, dear Heavenly Father. I'm like, hey, God, look, it's me again. And you already know what I'm about to say because you know my mind more than maybe I know myself. But I'm just acknowledging this is how I feel, and I want you to know this is how I feel. And it said that any man desires something, let him ask for it. So I'll be like, look, God, this is what I want. And if this is in your will, let me have it. And I think that we have to learn to be confident to go to God for certain things. And also to your point about we just talked about this literally in the car, about the comparison aspect. They say comparison kills, but it also can motivate you as well. I look at it as other people are doing something that I may want to do, that means that I can do it too. But it's accepting the part that none of our journeys are the same, and not to neglect the space that you're in. Like, you are in certain spaces because not that you need to be in those spaces, but because you provide value to those spaces.
Yeah.
And you cannot neglect the value to the spaces that you enter, whether you want to be in the space or not. And it's like, why are you even in the spaces? It's like, why not just try to do the best that you can or be the brightest light that you can be in those spaces? It's like, I want to be over there, though. Well, go be over there. That choice is also yours. But while you're here, why not shine the light the brightest that you can shine it? Because I'm sure it's your bright light to a lot of people. And I'm sure that a lot of people look up to the things that you do more than you probably look at yourself. It's hard for us to look at the good things that we do sometimes. Because like I said, that critic be so loud. They're like, you need to be here. You need to be doing this. You should have been out of here. But the reality is you're not. It's like, what do you do about it? You continue to shine your light bright. And on the contrary of being our biggest critics, I think we must learn to be our biggest fans as well. Like positive self-talk, telling yourself the things that you want to be or the things that you know that you are, that's huge. I be having those moments all the time. Like, man, Tirus, you don't know what you're doing. Then the other Tirus be like, shut up. You are definitely capable of this. You're capable of so much more above that as well. Mm-hmm. So telling yourself the positive things or the good things, and not just the things that you are, but the things that you hope to be, will literally start you on the road of getting to where you want to get to. So there's that song that says, encourage yourself. Every time I feel low, I turn that on, and I start encouraging myself, like, I'm all right. I'm cool.
Yeah, there's always something telling us we're behind, but the question is, what is the objective, right? You're always going to be behind if you don't realize what your own why is. So wherever you're at is where you're supposed to be at. For now, at least, until God tell you otherwise. But how many people feel like that though often, like you're behind or you're not, you know what I mean? Just so she can see those hands. Because sometimes we're thinking everybody else is cool. You feel me? But everybody else, they thinking the same thing.
Yeah, to that point, it's like I've learned to submit to the fact that I'm not perfect, but I've also learned to submit to the fact that nobody else is either.
Mm-hmm.
Like we'll paint this perfect picture of everybody else in our head. They're like, oh, this person ain't got no problems. We make them as perfect as possible.
Yeah.
And then we go look in the mirror and start pointing out all the imperfections that we have of ourselves. Instead of being real. It's like everybody has a lot of imperfections within themselves, but that's what makes us beautiful. And like he said, just the beauty of sharing the experience, the beauty of being vulnerable and admitting the fact that we're not perfect. I think we like to put up this wall and not to let people in and not to let people see the real us without understanding that that's really holding us back more so than being open and struggling, admitting to the point that we struggle and that we need help from the people around us. It's like, I think it said in Ecclesiastes that 2 is stronger than 1. And I always use a reference. It's like if 2 people want to pick up a table, they can do it with ease. If one person want to pick up a table, they can probably do it, but they're going to strain themselves much more than to ask for help and say, hey, can you help me with this? And ask for help first starts with admitting to the point that you are weak. And that's not a bad thing. It's actually a strength, because now you're saving yourself some stress by trying to pick up the table by yourself. So instead of us trying to carry all these heavy loads, whether it be mentally or physically by ourselves, we should learn to, 1, admit that we're weak, 2, ask for help from the ones around us, because we are all stronger together. Do you have anything you want to add? You're lost deep in thought.
No, I'm trying to connect it all together, right, with the conversation. Just a gauge to how everybody feeling so far. I know we're probably a little bit past time, right? She said, oh, it's okay. Okay, we're going to be here till 10 then. No, we ain't going to do y'all like that. We ain't going to do y'all. I know she got to be up at, 3 a.m.? Nah, I guess to reel it in, the last figure we wanted to touch on was Jesus. You know, anybody familiar with his story, his last type of days, his final days? Anybody familiar with it? No. Yeah, let's start from there. When he was praying in the garden.
He already knew it was going to go down, so he's like, God, if there's any other way, like, let me have that way instead. But at the same time, I'll submit to whatever you want for me. And obviously that's like an example for our lives, because God don't like always put us in situations that we want to be in. I'm speaking for myself, but I'm pretty sure like most people can relate. And it's like, you can ask and hope that there's another way, like a better way to, navigate whatever he's putting you through. But at the same time, we have to realize that it's out of our control, if that makes sense. Like submit to that will, and it's hard to do. I'm not gonna lie, it's hard for me to do, because I'm not gonna like I want what I want. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like I know it's not always what God wants, but it's like. That's where I have to be humble about it, if that makes sense. And that's something that I'm working on still. So that's what I gotta say.
No, that's real.
No, I feel you. Thanks for your vulnerability. 'Cause
That's vulnerable.
like that point, I want what I want, but learning to submit to the will, and he ended the prayer, Father, let your will be done. It's like, I think that's one thing that we have to learn how to do, and that could take away some of our stress. Well, not necessarily, because he still died after that. For 3 days, came back.
Yeah, he still died, and he was still in the grave for 3 whole days, right? Anybody notice so now we're gonna try to zoom kind of back out and then zoom in. What was the pattern between Jonah, Paul, and Jesus. Go crazy.
They all like struggle with God's purpose.
We all struggle with God's
They all
purpose.
struggle with God's purpose.
Hmm.
Even Jesus in the garden.
Even Jesus. Mm-hmm.
Or they wanted, I would say, I wouldn't say at first, but I would say they all, at some point in time, they all wanted to do their own thing. At some point in time in their lives. Instead of doing what God had called them to do.
You got something, Pauline?
I have a question.
Go crazy.
So what if you were, you know, like doing, what if you were actually trying to like live like on, you know, doing, you know, reading the Bible, you know, you come into like, you know, you're just really like locked in with God.
Doing all the right
Yeah,
things,
doing all the
supposedly.
right things, but it's just like, life just keeps, you know,
Like
keeps
keep
happening.
lifing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, people, you keep, I don't know, things are not going right, like, you keep losing people, or just life just be lifing, and it's
Mhm.
not even like little stuff, but like really like deep stuff,
Yeah.
and like, how do you keep going, you know, moving on towards that, because it's just like, hard, and
Oh yeah.
you know, you think that, okay, I'm actually submitting my life to God, I'm doing things He said I'm supposed to do, but it's just like, everything is like going backwards, like,
I love that. Because I feel like I ask that question so often.
Me too. Every day.
Because so every single day of my life.
I'm not laughing. I'm
Yeah,
serious.
I'm dead serious too. So I'll never forget. I was up here in Muncie last year. I did a show, and and it was like the time where I felt like, for those that know, I'm an artist where I create bold music for you to fight fear. I didn't introduce myself through the lens of blackness, mental health, and Jesus. And so I was up here doing a show, and it was like such a dope time of connection. The audience was hype. It felt like a God type moment after I'd been down bad for such a long time. But then I got back, right? And one of my neighbors had said, yo, they was dumping stuff in the alley last night. You ain't hear that? I was like, no, I was out of town. You feel me? And so I walked in the crib, and all my stuff was like ransacked. You feel me? All my studio equipment was gone. You know what I mean? They just ran through my crib. And I was like, I brought my friend over, and I keep it PG for you. You know what I'm saying? We in the impact space. I was going crazy, you feel me, in the alley, turning up. And then we called the police. I got a lot of it back, except for my TV. They took off. They must have pawned it or something. They got bread. And so I was kind of chilling out. I was trying to uplift my spirits because I got a lot of it back. I'm like, thank God. So I went. I was supposed to have a date that day. They stood me up. That was kind of sad. But then I went to a show in town. It was kind of lifting my vibes up. But I got back to the crib, and there was a man in my house cooking meatloaf. Right, a full on meatloaf. Like, the story is crazy. I'm telling you. And so I see him in the house. I'm yelling. I'm like, yo, I'm about to F you up. You feel me? I chase him down 2 streets. You feel me? He runs out.
You chasing down 2 streets.
Yeah, 2 streets down to the westbound off of Capitol. Right? I come back to the crib. He busted open my bedroom and my kitchen window. He was bleeding. My neighbor had shot him. I found out later. My neighbor, I thought it was from the glass. My neighbor had shot him, and he still came in, cooked the meatloaf. But here's the worst part of here's the worst part of the story. Here's the worst part to me. My favorite,
Not the meatloaf, not the good shot.
it was my turkey meat, like my turkey meat that was in the fridge from the previous day. Yeah, he was chilling. But my favorite pair of all white joggers with black stripes on the side, I'll never forget this. My favorite pair of all white joggers with black stripes on the side were in the living room. Dookie all up in there. Never to return. at that point, I lost confidence in my ability to feel God's favor. So, long story short, it's like I feel like my life has been somewhat of this. She missed the story. Did you walk in on the Dookie and the joggers? She said, "Don't even explain it. Don't even explain it." You feel?
Oh my
So
God.
at that point in time, even after that though, I had lost my grandma that same year. Um, I I just had a lot of falling outs with people, and I think to kind of bring it back in as well, like big picture, a common thread between all three of these individuals was they had to go through darkness to get to God's calling. To God, like Jonah had to be in the darkness. Paul was blind to see, and Jesus had to die so that people could get life. So I think sometimes we spend all of our lives trying to avoid going into the darkness. And we try to, like he said before, we try to hide from ourselves, and we think darkness is evidence of God leaving us. But actually, it's the darkness that which we can see God's life. Because if Jesus didn't die, we wouldn't have life, right? If Jesus had said, "My will, not yours, be done," we would all be dead in our sins. So when we look at the darkness in our lives and we look at the trials, we either say, okay, that means God doesn't love me, or we can flip the script and say, God's making a testimony out of this test, right? I share that story often because in the moment I'm feeling like I'm forsaken and I'm abandoned, but God throughout time, right? I mean, I still want, I'll say this. I received 3 other pairs of all white joggers with black stripes on the side. Yeah. You feel me? Yeah, head clap, head clap. But all that was just a setup to ultimately tell the story like God is going to ultimately restore everything at the end in eternity. But when we spend our lives trying to avoid darkness, and 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15, 20 years from now, the hope for y'all is that y'all would be walking with Jesus in the light, because life eventually will throw darkness at you. And you're either going to use that darkness as a reason why you shouldn't follow God. And a lot of people end up doing it. I've seen people that were hype on fire talking about, oh yeah, I'm going to die for Jesus. They're atheists now. They don't believe in God. All that talk was good for a good 3-5 years, but then it fizzled out because when darkness comes, you're either going to say, God, do you love me? Because those people that seem to be doing well, they're not experiencing this. But when you look at darkness as a way to the light, when you look at it as death as a way to life, it's nothing this world can take from you. But it's hard though, and it's like, you know what I'm saying? You get back, all your stuff is gone. You witness death, right? I'm not sure your specific situation, right? Maybe you lose people close to you. You're like, God, why? You know what I mean? And it makes you question, but it's through that death we can get life. You know what I'm saying? Even though it's hard, it's not evidence that God leaving you, but that he's with you.
Yeah, life is hard. I think we all could admit that. Any of y'all think life is easy? If y'all do, give me the. You about to say life is easy? What's you gonna say?
I would say that something God really put on my heart just from reading the Word of God. I feel like every time you go through something and you feel like you shouldn't open your Bible, open because there's something stuck in you going on. And then Romans 8:18 says that the king that you feel now cannot compare to the joy that's going to
It's
come.
coming, yeah.
And then I think
Come on, preach.
who
Yeah.
That's the thing. God isolates you and He puts you down so you become really dependent on Him and realize that, yeah, I can't walk on my own path, you know? So I think that's the thing about just going through trials, just knowing God, who God is, because He's always going to prosper you. So, like, nothing is wasted in His hands. That's what the Bible says. So, because it's not wasted, if you go through, like, losing everyone, He's building you up for a moment where you can help somebody for the other people.
Mm.
You're always going to learn from something God puts in your life. So know who He is and have that peace.
That's good.
You got something, Taylor?
I wanted to add on to what she said because I'm currently reading Job, and yes, he still remains faithful, but he still is in a lot of pain.
And he still,
Like, and
yeah.
he expressed that several times, like all the time.
One of my favorite things he said was, "I wish we could erase the day that I was born."
Yeah, like
That's
he
it.
was
That's
in
deep.
God.
darkness, and I think that that's natural when you're going through a lot of like pain and stuff. So something that can help you in the midst of it is remembering to invite God in your pain.
Mm.
Allow Him to be in.
Oh, she just took the message. Shoot. Okay.
So,
Yeah, no, that's a great point, because again, to the point of Jesus' sacrifice on the cross was to bring eternal life to everybody else, but eternal life only came through death, which to us that's probably the worst thing that we could think of possibly, but through His death there is salvation given. So it's like maybe through the hard times that we go through, it may give salvation to everybody else.
Mm.
And acknowledging the point that it's not all about us all the time, which has been a hard thing for me to accept. Because in my head, I'm like, man, it's all about me, period. Like, this is my life. Whatever I do is up to me, and it affects everybody else. But I think you said, what do you do when those times do come? We just have to keep the hope and keep the faith alive. Without faith, without hope, I think it was Paul who said, without faith, if he found out God wasn't real, him above all men would be most miserable. But with that faith, that's literally the answer. It's like we have to have the hope that things do get better. And that yesterday, the sorrows of yesterday, and to her point, they do not compare to the joys of tomorrow. And there's also that scripture that said, weeping may endure for the night, but joy will come in the morning. So to the point, it's like we just have to keep going. And sometimes, like, how long shall this night be? Because I feel like I've been weeping for a long time. And everyone always want to tell me, joy is coming in the morning. Joy is coming in the morning. But through that, I've learned that not only that joy comes in the morning, but joy comes through the morning. The different type of morning. Like the experience of loss, the experience of not having everything, the experience of I need something more. So not only does joy come in the morning, but joy comes through the morning. So it's like, if you keep going and have the hope and have the faith that things will get better than where they are, maybe they will get better. But if you don't have hope and you accept the point that things are just miserable, like life is miserable, it's suffering, you do nothing but continue to suffer. But if we have the hope that things will be better tomorrow than they were today, maybe things will get better. And it's all rooted on how we feel and how we think. Your thoughts literally reflect your reality. So if you think that things will get better, things will start to get better. If you think that things is just going to be terrible until death, things are probably going to get terrible to death. So learn how to control your thoughts. Learn how to submit to the will. Learn how to keep God with you. And I want to say you'll be okay, but I guess we'll see in the end.
And find those people to be honest with, you know. I think I like what Taylor said about Job, because so often we don't find spaces to express those feelings of deep grief and pain, because the people that we go to are only seeking to in a lot of ways justify themselves, right? Say, oh, it must have been something you did, you know what I mean? Like they kept trying to figure out, they try to make sense of Job's darkness. You know what I mean? He kept trying to tell him, nah, I'm A1. Like I you know what I'm saying? I've done right by my family. You know what I'm saying? I help the poor. I'm a righteous man before God, and this darkness is still engulfing me. So which I hope and pray that Impact can be a space for y'all. It was for me when I was a student. I found relationships that I could just be honest and real about situations I was experiencing. So just make sure that you also prioritize, like, okay, recognizing my situation, who can I talk to that will allow me to be myself and also fully express the things I'm going through, the situations I'm facing, you know. I pray everybody in this room has somebody they can call and just vent to and be real to. You know what I mean? How you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. Good. That's good. That's good.
Any more questions before final takeaways? You guys good? Y'all feeling all right? Yeah.
Yeah, great. All right, well, you got something to wrap up with?
I got something to wrap up with. One thing I like to tell people anytime I go speak is, one, don't neglect the value that you bring to the spaces that you enter, or don't neglect the value that you bring to the world in general. And also to that point, don't underestimate the hold that your absence would bring to any space that you're a part of. Sometimes it's easy to think about the value that you bring, but don't underestimate the hold that your absence brings to the spaces that you're also a part of. And always remember that your life has value.
With that, I would love to pray for y'all. You know what I'm saying? I love to just say a quick prayer. God, I thank you so much for everybody in this room. No matter whether they feel like they're in darkness currently or they're on the other side of darkness or they're trying to make sense of all the situations of life, I pray that you would give people around them that will encourage them, uplift them, allow them to fully express and vent what's going on, but also other individuals that would encourage them to find hope, find joy. I pray for all the work that has come into creating a space such as this and for their attendance into it. Would you just allow them to be vulnerable, be real, and be bold too, so that they don't spend all of their time trying to avoid darkness, but that they would spend time in the darkness to listen to others, listen to self, and listen to God. And that would be their guiding light and guiding force, and not their own self-will determination, but solely your love and your comfort will be revealed to them. And I pray all these things in Jesus' name. So be it.
Amen.
Thank y'all so much for having us. Yeah, it's great. I don't know if we're supposed to wrap. Is it announcements or? I'll take a picture. Okay.
Before we leave, we have Bible study again this Tuesday. And then next Wednesday, we have our study table, so same time in this room, and then study table is gonna be in the library, but Bible study is gonna be in this room.
There's a flyer for what? The study, just press.
Oh, was this my?
This is the date for our
This
study,
your part?
our study tables. Again, it's in the basement, for those who haven't been down there, so you go downstairs to the left, all the way.
So thank y'all for coming. Before everybody leaves, can we get a picture real quick?
Y'all need me to take it?
You said
I
what?
said, y'all need me to take it.
Is someone in the picture? You guessing we're in the picture or nah?
Nope.
Yeah.
We in the picture?
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah.
Oh, you said yeah? I don't. Evie said nah, so I don't know who I follow. You said come over. Oh, thank you, sir.